definitely
Like if you run it out over 30 years, the 15 would make more money if you could do it that way.
not necessarily.
Okay.
Because, and this is with all things being equal, if you take the difference and you're reinvesting it at a 30-year, you'll get a better return, more than a 5% interest rate on your mortgage. And that would be the reason why. But typically,
So it
if you're,
depends.
yeah, so it depends. But it's all based on your risk tolerance, what you prefer to do. All right, let's take a look at 25 years. After 25 years of following the simple formula, two-step process with your Roth IRAs, you have $285,000 that you've invested from your Roth IRA. That's actually cash out of your pocket. But you would have a $1.5 million, I'm sorry, $1.8 million of value and 1.5 of free money. That's just the increase. And again, this is all tax-free because it's within that Roth capsule. Any questions with that?
Meaning if you sold the homes,
If you sold the homes.
you take that home to cap that.
Correct, or if you sold those homes in retirement, again, so with it being in the Roth, if you sell it, you have to keep it within that retirement account until you're of retirement age. Dave?
Going back to the last slide, what if they did a bi-weekly payment and shaved 7 years off their mortgage? That's just like making an extra house payment once a year by accident.
Right, so these returns right here, these amounts of how much would be your expected value, you're gonna pay down your mortgage more quickly, but which is just one way of investing, by paying down your mortgage. If instead you took that and you just said, I'm gonna invest that into another property, that's what this scenario is saying. Because if you just take it and you pay it down and you do that extra payment, it's gonna give you a return. You might get more otherwise. But it's again, based on your situation, what's your preference?
But you're not paying more, you're paying the same amount. Because to enroll in the program, you pay an extra payment now, and then you pay every 2 weeks on your payment, but it shaves off 7 years of interest.
It does, you are actually paying a little bit more. Because instead of, let's say there was $1,000 each payment, so if you're gonna make 12 payments, $12,000 that you pay, if you do that bi-weekly, you're gonna be paying $12,800 that year. So it's
Right,
still,
but you're
you're
making
paying an
an
extra
extra
$800
Right.
because of that payment, but it's reinvesting by paying down your mortgage. If you took that $800 and you reinvested it into another property, it's still gonna give you a good return. Either way, there's not a right or a wrong way. Either way is good, it's just which way you prefer. You're still gonna get a good return on your investment either way.
What do you do in the scenario where you're negative cash flow? In an
You
IRA?
don't.
Okay.
In fact, First Fed will
We have
not,
expenses, say the home, we have repairs or something.
correct, so that's one thing, when you have a Roth, you definitely always have to make sure you have reserves. Because you have to use money within that Roth to be able to do any of the repairs. Let's say your AC goes out, you have to have those funds inside the Roth. Like we're saying, to keep reinvesting, that would be part of that, you could pull that from your Fidelity account to pay for that AC unit. So yeah, great,
You can't pay for the AC unit out of your pocket.
you can't. If
What
it's
if you buy
owned
a
within
home
that,
warranty
If
You
it's
can't even install your own light bulb.
and you renew it?
yeah, you could do a home warranty and renew it, but you can't, within the Roth, it's supposed to be just like a passive investment. And so the self-directed IRA is a great caveat within that, where you can have a physical asset of a house and own that, but you can't live in it, you can't do the work yourself. It has to be an investment, not sweat equity.
Term is no sweat equity.
That's right, no sweat equity is allowed with that.
One more and then
Yeah.
we can move on. How do you get an LLC to set this up? 'Cause-
How do you set it up with an LLC? That's a great question. So Vantage IRAs, if you have these questions, they have different seminars that they put on. I've attended those, so I know a lot about that. I have my own LLC within the self-directed IRA. So if you want to do that, which is a way that I would recommend if you're going to follow these principles here, what you would do is set up your self-directed IRA, and then the asset that your self-directed IRA would own is an LLC. So I could name that LLC, Best Properties LLC, let's call it that. And Best Properties LLC is owned by Rob Hale's IRA, self-directed IRA. Okay, so my self-directed IRA is buying Best Properties LLC, and then Best Properties LLC buys these properties here. The reason why that's a beneficial thing to do is that then that LLC can write checks, can collect the rents, and you don't have to send it into the Vantage IRAs every time for them to calculate and so forth and pay fees.
Plus protection.
Plus protection, exactly. Lots of thoughts coming up, yes.
Yeah, thanks. Rental checks that you receive as a real estate owner, that's traditional income, right? Taxed by the government?
Unless it's within a self-directed IRA. So Best Properties LLC owns a house. The person that lives in that house is paying rent to Best Properties LLC. That just stays right in there within that
Got it.
self-directed bubble.
Okay. So,
So there's no taxes paid on that, but you can't pull it out and use it for your own personal benefit.
yeah, because I'm just thinking at some point, I mean, Roth IRAs have an income limit. Like if you make above 120,000 a year, you can't do a Roth IRA.
Unless you do a backdoor Roth.
Oh, okay, well, let's talk about that.
This is another, yes, this is another thing. I'll just give you a little tidbit on that.
Yeah,
The way you do that is you put it into a traditional IRA. As soon as you do that, you change it, do a rollover to a Roth IRA, you pay the taxes on it, and it's called a backdoor Roth. So that's the way the rich do Roth IRAs. You just put it in the traditional, then you convert it to a Roth, pay the taxes on it, it's now a Roth. But you can't just put it directly in. So yeah.
But you wanna do that when there's a small amount in there, right? You don't wanna pay taxes on a big amount.
If taxes are
Not
gonna be
necessarily.
less today than they are in 10 years.
Yeah, it's just whether it matters whether you pay the taxes on it now or later. So, good questions. Do you have a question?
I was just thinking, I'm assuming you can't do Airbnb or anything with those properties?
You can.
You can?
You can do an Airbnb, the only thing is you can't stay in it yourself
You can't stay in it at all for personal?
for personal benefits.
Strictly an
Exactly.
investment.
This is only within the self-directed bubble. This is the IRA
You
bubble.
pay your best properties?
Doesn't matter.
You can't stay.
No. Because it's supposed to be an investment, that it's the way the government set up the IRA system.
And it's not only you, it's your family tree.
Right, it's also your family tree, so your kids can't stay there, your parents can't stay there, your siblings can't stay there. It's,
Your parents can.
they don't want it to be something, so
So,
the thought is, if I went and bought a property with my Best Properties LLC, and I paid, let's say, $200,000 for it, and then I say, oh, you know what, I can make a ton of money from this, tax-free, let me sell it to my brother for $300,000, he can foreclose on it, and I'll have $100,000 cash, tax-free. So they don't want to have any of those types of scenarios where it's like, oh, this could be a,
Or shenanigans.
yeah, it could be shenanigan here, but that's kind of the thought process. At least that's how I understand it, okay? So, again, the self-directed IRA is a great vehicle to be able to this is just one option. I'm gonna show you some other things outside of that too.
Did I miss the self-directed IRA and the Roth IRA is one and the same? It's a specific kind of Roth IRA?
Self-directed Roth IRA.
Okay.
So if right now, many people have Roth IRAs right now, they say, okay, my money is with XYZ mutual fund company. They have it there and they say, okay, great, it's just making me money because it's part of my self-directed, or my Roth IRA. If you wanted to at any point in time, which is what I did, I just said, let me convert that, instead of it being with Merrill Lynch, I'm gonna put it over here with Vantage IRAs. They just transfer the funds over, now it becomes a self-directed IRA, and I can buy whatever I want with it in that, as long as it's an investment.
And real estate is not the only thing you can buy to sell.
Correct, you don't have
That's
to-
what you're focusing on.
Right, you don't have to just buy real estate, you could buy coins, you could buy
Businesses.
a business, that's what the LLC, that's why you can buy an LLC, so. there's a lot of things that you can do, but again, your financial advisor doesn't, if they don't sell them, they're not gonna tell you about them.
Vantage IRAs is a great place. They will give you every tidbit of information you might think you want. And
Yeah. If you have questions, it's a great resource. There's a lot of different questions you can
Their
find answers.
website,
Are there
you don't
high
have to
fees?
be a member to.
There are high fees if you don't have an LLC. So every time you have a check come in from rent, you pay a fee. Every time they send a check to pay for a leaky faucet, you pay a fee. So it's better to just have the LLC, and then the LLC can write checks, no fees.
The way they explained it is, doing LLC gives you check control over that.
That's right. When the self-directed IRA owns an LLC, it gives check freedom. You can write checks.
You make yourselves the managers of that LLC.
Yeah.
I just have, we talked about this a minute ago, but, like repairs and renovations you have to do, that comes out of the account, the self-directed IRA?
Correct.
Okay,
It has to come out of the self-directed IRA. You can't pay for it out of your pocket.
okay.
And you can't do them yourself.
And you can't do it yourself. So again, looking at the 25-year returns,
What if you have
Can you pay your
another
brother?
LLC?
Here's what you.
can't be the other LLC.
Here's what you can do if you're somewhat handy.
But we have a friend who also has a self-directed, he could work on mine, and I could work on his.
And there's a backdoor approach, okay? So if you're handy and they're handy, you have them, a friend, do your work and you do their work. Okay? So again, this is just one vehicle that we're talking about. And this is just one scenario that it's very simple. Most people invest in it, but if you take a look at this after 25 years, you can have $1.5 million in free money. And this is just my assumptions are 4% appreciation and 3% rent increase. That's it. Okay? That's all I looked at to come up with these numbers here. This isn't, oh, in a great market, we're seeing a great market of 10% appreciation, or I'm not looking at that at all. Just over time, consistent appreciation, consistent growth in rent. That's where these numbers come up. So having 6 cash flowing rental properties, 25 years, after you've invested $285,000, because it's just $11,000 a year, it's amazing to me that more people don't do it. And why don't we? Because people don't tell us about it. We just don't know. We
The
just think,
stockbrokers want you to pay them.
we think, you know what? I invested $285,000, and now that I'm retired, I have $700,000. This is awesome. This is great. But if you could have 1.8, wouldn't it be better? Right? So let me share with you some other things. Okay? This is we hit the finish line. We can retire with 6 properties that are cash flowing. Let me go through a couple other alternatives. Okay? So that was just the self-directed IRA. Other simple things to do. If you own a home, great thing you could do is just turn that home into a rental. So you take your home that you're living in, instead of selling it, which most people do, and then buying up, keep that property, rent it out. Then you can go buy something else with 3.5% to 5% down, or more if you wanted to, and go buy another house. So now you have a cash flowing property and a rental. And then after a couple of years, go do it again, repeat it. That was one of the advice that I got from one of my favorite finance professors, who decided to be a finance professor because he was a multimillionaire and had nothing else to do, and he wanted to say, let me make a difference in people's lives. Coolest professor, because he didn't care about the testing and so forth. He wanted to teach us about life. His one principle, he said, if you want to make a lot of money, do this. Go buy a condo in college, live in it. After you graduate, hold on to it. Go buy a house. Rent that out. Then after you do that, don't sell it. Move up, keep your house and rent it out. He's like, soon you'll have 4 or 5 properties, 10 years, 15 years, and you'll be well on your way to becoming a millionaire. Because property values rise, rents rise.
I think too,
if there's a market crash, the housing market crashes again, the demand for rent goes up. So you're not in that big of a danger.
That's a great point. So when you buy that real estate property and the market crashes, so many people got foreclosed on, but where did they go? They became renters. And rental rates began to rise, because when there's more renters, supply and demand, prices go up. Why is it that rental prices are going up right now? Because 80,000 people are moving to Maricopa County each month. And there's nowhere near 80,000 properties that are being built. Houses, the demand, the supply is not keeping up with demand, so rental rates continue to rise. Property values too.
This makes 0 sense to me. People are foreclosing on their home because they can't afford their mortgage, but they can afford a higher than normal rent?
It's a great question. So that's the anomaly of the crash of 2007, 2008. It was because people just said, my house is worth less than what it's worth, so I'm going to foreclose. It'll never get back to where it was. So speculative buyers that bought saying, I'm going to buy this house. They couldn't afford it. Had teachers making $40,000, $50,000 a year saying they made $250,000 a year because the lenders told them they should, so they could buy a $600,000 house. So that's an anomaly I don't think we'll see again. But if people were to foreclose, yes, they could go back into it. But a lot of times people foreclose on a house. Let's say that it's a 4,000 square foot home, and then they go rent a 2,000 square foot home.
Got it.
So really, if you're not over leveraged on the home, you don't really care if it goes up or down, you care about what you get every month from that.
Exactly. If you're positive cash flow, that's the key.
Market go up or down.
It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Right now, if property values were to go down with my rent properties, I wouldn't care, because they're positive cash flow. As long as I keep making more money coming in, I really don't care. The property value is just a number to me until I actually sell it.
You know,
So you never sell when there's a downturn.
Can you take a property that you already own, that you have more than 35% equity, and put it into your self-directed IRA?
Great question. You can't. Anything that you've already owned, you can't sell to your IRA. You can't transfer it in. I've wanted to do that a few times.
You can take the equity out though and go buy another house.
You could.
Sell the house and go buy another.
No, take the equity out.
Oh, refinance.
Just refinance, pull the equity out, and put it on the down payment on the
Get
next
a
property.
loan.
Yeah. So as long as you're positive cash flow, those things make sense. The thing that where people get in trouble is when they pull out their equity and then their negative cash flow, and that's not something that I recommend at all.
so what we're strictly talking about here is retirement success. Along the way, you're not seeing any of this cash, right?
Only in the self-directed. This second alternative right here, you can totally see this cash flow.
Okay.
And you can utilize this because you're buying a house, then instead of selling it to buy something else, you're renting it and buying something else, and you're getting positive cash flow. And so that's money outside your retirement account. So this is just another option. Again, I'm not gonna go through all the details of what you could do with that, but it's a great option. A third alternative is to, again, invest after tax funds, so outside of the self-directed IRA, and use leverage. So if you wanna go buy a rental property right now, investment property, most banks are required 20 to 25% down. If you put that into it, they'll be able to fund 75 to 80%. And once you've saved another 20 to 25%, you could buy another property and keep repeating those steps. Okay, so then the income that you are collecting is gonna be taxable, but you're also gonna be able to get the benefits of depreciation to offset some of the tax liability you have.
Would you say, I mean, you've given us a couple different alternatives here now, would you still
Yeah.
say your self-directed IRA option is like your strongest way to go?
I love the self-directed IRA because it's my retirement, and I can just sit on it, I don't care, and it's tax-free. There's a tax umbrella there. But I don't just invest in a self-directed IRA. I love getting cash flow too, that I can utilize if I wanted to, or put it into a,
You're paying taxes on that too, though, right?
correct. But when you have positive cash flow, you know, my accountant, I remember sitting down with him, first thing he says, I wanna make sure you pay a lot of taxes. And I was like, see you later. I thought I was coming here to help me to pay less taxes. And he's like, no, I want you to pay a lot of taxes, because if